Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Newsroom. I'm your host, Omar Khalid. But today is the 6th of February 2024. We are just a couple of hours away now, less than 48 hours away from the beginning of the elections in Pakistan that are to be held on the 8th of February. And that is what our first segment is going to be today. The last day of the election campaign, as the election campaigns as per the instructions given, will end at midnight tonight. Political leaders and contestant candidates, of course, are making all these statements, speeches in, of course, an effort to gain or garner as much of voters as possible. A lot of political parties are, of course, highlighting their manifestos, highlighting what they want to do, what they will do once they come into power. And, of course, these are not just the elections of the National Assembly, but also of the provincial assemblies of Pakistan. 12,695 candidates in the field for the provincial assemblies, of which 12,123 are male, 570 women, 2 transgenders as well. We'll be highlighting that and more in our first segment. We have very interesting guests with us for this one. Our second story, ladies and gentlemen, concerns the Army Chief General Sayyid Asim Munir, who has reaffirmed that any aggression or violation of the territorial sovereignty of Pakistan will be responded with full national resolve and military might. He mentioned that Indian state terrorism in Pakistan has now extended to the heinous targeting of individual Pakistani citizens on our soil. He said Pakistan will continue to expose all such attempts and ensure the security of its citizens. This is going to be our second story. Our third story, ladies and gentlemen, concerns the United Kingdom. King Charles, previously Prince Charles, now King Charles, who's been diagnosed with cancer. He's been diagnosed with a form of cancer which we don't for the moment know much details about, and he's going to postpone public engagements to undergo treatment. This was in an official statement by the Buckingham Palace, but the statement added that he remained wholly positive about the scare less than 18 months into his reign. We all know that he became king in September of 2022 following the death of his mother, Queen Elizabeth. And of course, the palace has said that a series of treatments has begun, and he was looking forward to returning to full-time duties at the earliest. Finally, we'll be talking about the world of music, ladies and gentlemen, the Grammy Awards that were very recently held. It was a night dominated by women, whether it be Billie Eilish, whether it be Taylor Swift, or whether it be other women. Miley Cyrus, for example, who garnered the most coveted awards on this evening. So it was an evening of female legends. This is going to be our last story. Let's begin with our first, and that concerns the last day of the election campaigning that ends at midnight tonight. The elections in Pakistan, inshallah, are going to be held on the 8th of February this year. That is going to be a Thursday. A lot of humgum activity going on as far as the political campaigns are concerned before midnight, so that they can end on a high note, so that people know who they are voting for and what are the manifestos of these very people. We've been joined by 2 guests in the first for this first segment in the studios. Let me introduce them to you one by one. On my very right, I'll begin with the lady who is here. On my very right is Nighat Siddique Saiba. She is the spokesperson for the Election Commission of Pakistan. Thank you very much, ma'am, to have joined us. And it's a pleasure to have an official spokesperson here to refute statements and to give the official version of what is going on. Our second guest is Naveed Aman Khan. He's a senior analyst. Naveed Saab, pleasure to have you on board. Let's begin with Nighat Siddique Saiba. Nighat Siddique Saiba, the election campaign concludes at midnight tonight. This is what I said also in the introduction. General elections to be held within less than 48 hours. The Election Commission of Pakistan, what you represent, has completed arrangements for the polling. 90,675 polling stations established in all the 4 provinces. Kindly give us more details, because I'd leave the rest to you.
Thank you for inviting, and thank you for taking our perspective. Let me assure you, is it, by the way, bilingual, or is it?
It's just in English.
Okay, all right. So we need to be very clear that it's a huge exercise starting from the voters, which is around, let's say, it's a huge number. It's 128.5 million voters, registered voters, who are going to cast vote on 8th of February. And among them, 69.2 million are male and 59.3 million are female. One of the big achievements that ECP had was that in 2018 we had around 11.8% of difference between men and women voters, which, because of a big number of campaigns that the Commission did, with the grassroots level communities and tried to register them. We now have the gap reduced to 7%, which is a big achievement. That means a big number of women will also be involved. That means it's going to be a very inclusive election. Having said that, I would like to touch a little upon the number of DROs and ROs that we will have.
They're very important.
Yeah, we have around 144 DROs, and then for National Assembly, we have 266 ROs and 603 AROs. For Provincial Assembly, we have 593 ROs and 1186 AROs. The number of presiding officers that we have is around 96,971 presiding. Then we have senior assistant presiding officer of the same number. Then we have APOs, that is assistant presiding and polling officer. The whole lot makes around a million polling staff. And if we add the security personnel that we trained, the training that ECP did was a humongous task. We conducted around 27,000 trainings of 1.49 million election officials, including the DROs, the ROs, presiding, senior APOs, POs. And during the trainings, they were given mock exercise on how to conduct an election on the poll day. What is a poll day about? What's the election material? How are they going to transport that back to the polling station? How to start the polling? How to end the polling? How to make Form 45, which is very crucial and a linchpin in the whole election. So they were given mock exercise on that. Then on the last day of the trainings we had for EMS, that is Election Management System. Rigorous exercises were done with presiding officers on how to use this mobile app that we have, that is going to transmit the result Form 45 from the polling station to the RO office. So a lot of exercise was done for them to get used to it, so that there is no margin of error left there. After these trainings, they are now deployed and a bulk breaking, which is again another huge exercise, that the ROs get an election material and then they break it into in the constituency according to the polling station. And tomorrow, that is 7th of February, they are going to the presiding officers are going to collect the material, the election material, from the RO's point, wherever he keeps the distribution point, and back to the polling station, accompanied by proper security, proper transport plans in place, proper securities in place, movement plan, everything is in place, alhamdulillah. This time, because I've seen last 2 elections also, I've been part of the elections. This is my 3rd election. So I can conveniently say that the 2018 election that we saw, we are much better prepared now. Much beforehand we were prepared for this election, for all the activities that took place. And today, in fact every day, the Honorable Chief Election Commissioner is heading a meeting at 9 AM in the morning. Everybody is supposed to put their cards on the table as to how much is done and how much is left. So today was a day when everybody was done and we were, sitting there reporting completion.
I think it's important because we always need a good man at the helm of affairs, or a woman at the helm of affairs, so that he or she can manage things properly. You have to be a hard taskmaster when it comes to organizations such as the ECP. Naveed Saab, coming to you, elections the day after tomorrow, tonight, the whole humgum of the political campaigning ends. How do you see this whole process, and how excited are you for election day?
Oh, yes. As Nighat has elaborated the details of the working of Election Commission, the work is completely done with the Election Commission. They are prepared and they are ready to conduct or manage the elections day after. Now, the political activity is on its peak. All over the country, the candidates, the political leaders, the political parties are enthusiastic and they are very charged, and they are charging their voters, and they are trying to convince them to vote them. But one thing is very important as far as the voters are concerned. The voters need to think 10 times before they cast their vote. It is the fate of the voter, the nation, and the country.
That is in their hands.
And it is in their hand. And one day is just left. They need to think 10 times at least before they cast their vote. Whosoever they elect, their representative should be very decent, very loyal to the country and the nation, learned, and should be a true lawmaker, a true representative whom they can catch when he or she is elected. They can approach, and the candidate is in their range to converse or to communicate or to discuss the miseries, because the nation is facing multiple miseries or problems or issues.
So they need a leadership, they need a party that will take them out of all these crises.
Definitely. I mean, the voting is for that purpose. The candidates should be elected for their issues. Those who address their issues should be elected, definitely. And they should be the representative of the nation. Those who are not reliable, the voters should not vote for them.
Well, that we will see.
The brotherhoodism or the communal matters or the regional matters should not be made the part of it, though it is a part of Pakistani politics. But you know, this always spoils the myth of the voting and the elections. Never go for the brotherhoodism. Go for the ideology,
exactly,
for the manifesto. Whomsoever you appreciate, you vote, but for the sake of manifesto, for the sake of the country, for the sake of legislation, and for the sake of the future of the nation.
I totally agree with you. Then, Siddique Sahaba, various codes of conduct have been published by the Election Commission of Pakistan. I myself was doing a transmission, and I did one part of that on the different codes of conduct, whether it's for the international observers, national media person, international media person, security personnel, the army and others, and for the political parties. There's a whole big document as far as their code of conduct is concerned. How important is the understanding and the implementation of all of these code of conducts for the parties concerned?
It's a very important question, and see, I'll keep referring, and I mostly do a comparative analysis of 2018 and then 2024. So I would say that the big change is that all the codes of conduct were made in consultation with the stakeholders, that is, the political parties were invited, their code of conduct was discussed in detail, their recommendations were factored in, and then it was finalized. Same was done with the observers and media and the security personnel. That means proper consultative process took place, and the stakeholders are very much on board on what we decided the code of conduct to be. Now, having that code of conduct would mean that they abide by it, and to monitor that and to ensure that that is taken.
Implemented.
Yeah, exactly. Election Commission has state-of-the-art monitoring and control room.
All right.
And you need to visit that. You need
I
to
definitely
see.
will, because we were talking about that before the show.
It's a state-of-the-art thing. We have digital video wall there. We have quite a big number of our telephone lines. We have which are manned 24/7. There are people sitting there taking complaints from the DMOs and MOs who are deployed in the field. DMO would mean a district monitoring officer. Under him, at the sea level, we have monitoring officers.
Okay.
So it's around more than 1,300 people monitoring these campaigns and monitoring the code of conduct. We have our RMCs, that is our regional monitoring coordinators, that is our regional election commissioner, grade 19. He is supervising this monitoring thing, and these monitors have the power to fine the people who breach the code of conduct. You must have seen in the news where the people have taken off the hoardings and the posters which are oversized and not according to the code of conduct. People have been fined, they've been stopped from campaigning if they have breached the code of conduct. So we've been very, very vigilant on this, and I would say all the stakeholders have been appreciating this as to the role of Election Commission in monitoring all this and giving everyone an equal chance, of campaigning and being around.
Ma'am, Nighat, less than 48 hours are left before the election day and before everybody polls, including all three of us, inshallah. What mechanism is there in place to ensure that there is smooth sailing on that day?
See, our security plan is in order. There'll be, we have sensitive polling stations, marked sensitive polling stations, normal polling station, highly sensitive polling stations, police will be deployed according to the sensitivity of the polling station. 1. 2, there's this, during the trainings, our presiding officers and the polling staff and our security personnel were trained to give conducive environment to the voters. They've been trained to give preferential voting to persons with disabilities, to women expecting mothers, to elderly, to transgender, and not let them stand in lines and cast their vote on priority basis and leave. It's not only for that. We also have been talking to the provincial governments, sending them directions to the Honorable Commission to build ramps where we have stairs. One direction was to have all the polling stations on the ground floor. Second was to build ramps if there are any stairs. Third was for the security personnel and the polling staff to give conducive environment. Fourth is we have female polling staff for the female polling stations in order to encourage more and more women to come out and vote. And in the combined polling station where we have a male polling booth and a female polling booth is manned by female polling staff. We have also tried to have separate entrances for male and female in the combined polling station to respecting the culture that we have. We have tried all this.
I think you have made things quite clear as far as this is concerned, but of course we'll all see the day after tomorrow how smooth the sailing is going to be. Exactly.
It will be, inshallah, you will see.
I totally hope that it will be. Naveed, Aman Saab, when you go to cast your vote, I don't know whether it will be in the city or in other city as well, what are the basic elements as far as the people's aspirations from the voting process is concerned? Are more people wanting to vote this time? Because in Pakistan we've had this issue of people staying at home, not wanting to vote. Is there this desire to go and vote? Because irrespective of who you vote for, I think it's your duty to vote on voting day. What kind of environment do you see around you as far as that is concerned?
I think the turnout will be high.
Okay.
The people are charged. They are waiting for the voting day, and they will come out, they will vote for their candidates. As Madam Nighat has told, that the department is prepared. The preparations or the arrangements of the armed forces, the police and the election commission is complete now. Now it's the responsibility of the voters and the candidates to vote and to convince the people or not to go for any violence. The voters, the supporters, the candidates, all three should not go for any sort of violence before the elections and post elections. Those who win should be congratulated by those who lose it.
This is the part of democracy. You cannot always win, either, but you should be part of that process, whether you win or not.
Both are the part of this society and democracy. Those who win, they will be in a position to come ahead and to lead the country and the nation, and those who lose will
but again. But do you feel that there are more people wanting to vote this year?
Definitely, because the young vote is
included. That is very important.
So the millions of the young voters, they are waiting for the day of voting. It will be first time they will be voting for their candidates. So their vote will also be having a decisive impact on the.
I agree. Nighat, Madam wanted to add something to it.
I would like to add here that even Election Commission has gone far and wide in giving awareness to the voters, especially the first time voters. We've been engaging with universities and college students, holding debates and declamations on why to vote and what's the importance of voting and why not have a picnic that day, rather come and cast your vote and use your right. We also have been arranging and holding mock polls with rural women, so that we could tell them how to fold a ballot paper and how to cast your vote. So a lot of mock polls were done with them. We've been working with transgenders and persons with disabilities. We worked with minorities, went to churches and different places where we could find them, we could talk to them. We've been working extensively. It's more than 3,000 sessions that we held with different community leaders and community people, showing them the way of casting a vote and also discussing importance of voting, because it's a very politically charged situation. So if a woman comes out to cast a vote but doesn't know how to cast a vote, like I can give an example of Kharia, where I went for monitoring, and I saw a woman coming for a vote for the first time, and she was very excited, and when she did everything right, took that ballot paper behind the screen, marked it, and was leaving. And I was surprised as to why could she not cast, put the ballot paper in the
She thought it has just ended there when
I called her and I asked, I said, why are you leaving without putting it in the ballot box? She said, because somebody at home told me that there'll be a slit there and you put it in there. So there was a slit behind the screen and I put my vote there. That was an invalid vote. It wouldn't be counted. So you see, this was something that we had to talk to the women especially. And then they come and they're so excited, they put the stamp at a couple of places, telling them how to and where to place their stamp is again, and through your channel also I would like to give this in education and information to the voter, that when you come to the polling station, do bring your original ID card, irrespective of its validity of date or not. Even if its date is not valid, it still has to be original ID card. Then when they come there, they should ensure that the polling officer has put this indelible ink on the cuticle. Then after they have taken this ballot paper, because they put a thumb impression on the electoral roll, that's a part of our procedure. So the ink that they use for thumb impression needs to be dried. So they should wait for that and not hold the ballot paper with that thumb with the ink on, because then you leave a mark there. And if there's any mark other than the stamp, it will not be counted. So take the ballot paper from there, go behind the screen, and don't put the mark at a couple of, or maybe 2 to 3 stamps at the same one. Just put one stamp within that block that you have against that symbol. Fold it right to left instead of up and down, because if you fold it up and down, you might, because of that ink which is not dried, mark it at another candidate also. So that will again be not counted. Fold it right to left so that even if the ink is not dried, it goes to the same person. And then ensure that from the screen, from behind the screen when you come in, you put your ballot paper, your vote in the ballot box, green for the national and white for the provincial. Put your green ballot paper in the green box and white ballot paper in the white. There will be a white lid on the ballot box and a green lid on the green box. So ensure that it has gone into the box. Otherwise, if it's thrown, it gets thrown somewhere. It's not in there, it will not be counted.
Or even if it's mismatched, if you put the...
If it's mismatched, if it's torn a little, it will not be counted. So we have to be very, and then when the person takes the ballot paper, the citizen, the voter has to ensure that behind the ballot paper, the polling or the presiding officer has put a stamp and signed. That is again another reason for a vote to not be counted, So we have to look at all these things, ensure that we've taken these steps before we put the ballot paper in the ballot box.
So on the polling day also, there will be people who will be helping out such people who do not have information regarding this.
The polling staff that we have definitely does guide them on how to cast a vote, but not for whom to cast a vote. But yes,
but how to cast a vote, so that you don't make any mistake. Naveed, we wanted to add.
This is the thing which I think the media and the politicians, they did not pay attention to it. As Madam is
I think that's very important point that she has
it is very important.
highlighted.
She is elaborating the things now. the political leaders, political candidates, or the media, all should have demonstrated time to time how to cast a vote, how to go, how to stamp it, how to fold it, and how to put it in the box. It is, I think, it should have been addressed properly, which is not done both by the media and by the politicians. So, if the election commission personnel, they assist the voters to how to stamp it and how to put it in the box, I think it will help to avoid maximum votes going wrong or going rejected.
All right. All right, Ma'am Nighat, this is going to be my last question to you, because we are going to have, I think we'll be seeing each other much more often during the coming days as well. So we have a lot of questions, but that I'll leave for the next time.
Right.
What kind of arrangements are in place for the foreign media that is coming? I've heard that there's a delegation from the OIC that met the election the representatives of the Election Commission of Pakistan. Then there are the EU has sent its representatives. The Commonwealth is here as well. So are the international observers. So is Russia and other countries as well. How are they being dealt with?
See, this was a very tedious process of getting them cleared and bringing them in, and that has also been a very, very smooth process by the Honorable Commission, by the Honorable Chief. He looked into everything personally to ensure that everything, and today when the Russian delegation was leaving, they were surprised and they left this mark. They said, you people are very well prepared, and that's our achievement. You know? When a third party, when someone else, and an observer goes through our process, they visited our EMCC, the monitoring room, they visited our server room, they saw our election city that we prepared, they saw our preparations, and they were more than satisfied. We have EU, European Union, we have Commonwealth, we have a few independent international observers, we have observers who are international diplomats based in Pakistan, but they've asked for accreditation so that they could go to different polling stations, and it's from embassies and it's from different missions. We've provided them with proper kits for observers on guiding them how and where to go, provided them different addresses of their choice where they wanted to go for any constituency. Our people will be guiding them. They've been given a thorough briefing on what the process is all about, how we are going to go about it, the number of constituencies that we have, the number of constituencies they want to visit. So our teams have been coordinating with them through and through, and they are very well versed now with how and where they'll be going. And we have proper arrangements in place with security there for them to go and visit it in a very peaceful way.
That is wonderful.
Omar, one thing I would like to add. The winners will form the government. The losers will be in the opposition.
Of course.
Both are the part of the government, and both are important for democracy. So both need to run the government and the country as well.
Only those will be part of the assemblies who will get the votes, and then it will
definitely those become the part of the assemblies.
That is true. This is the process. This is a normal democratic process, and it's going to begin in less than 48 hours. Ladies and gentlemen, this is our first segment. I'd like to thank my two guests, Nighat Siddique Sahiba, spokesperson of the Election Commission of Pakistan, and Naveed Aman Khan Sahab, senior analyst, who have joined us for this. And we are getting more excited as the hours become shorter and shorter before the election day comes.
It seems like a gala day for Pakistan as well.
Well, it seems like a gala day for Pakistan's democracy as well. Let's hope for the very best. Let's come to our second story, ladies and gentlemen, and that concerns the Army Chief General Sayyid Asim Munir Sahab, who has reaffirmed that any aggression or violation of the territorial integrity and sovereignty of Pakistan will be responded with full national resolve and military might. The Army Chief said that the Pakistan Army is well versed in the full threat spectrum and is perpetually ready to respond effectively. He did mention also that Indian state-sponsored terrorism in Pakistan has now extended to the heinous targeting of individual Pakistani citizens in our soil, and of course he was referring to the two people who were targeted, and he also said that Pakistan will continue to expose all such attempts and ensure the security of its citizens. He mentioned that when he was talking about the Indian state-sponsored propaganda and this heinous designs of targeting Pakistani nationals, he said that such a callous disregard for international law and norms of the international system is becoming a routine occurrence, and that India is now being openly called out by many countries worldwide, exposing the sham credentials of the country that states itself to be the world's largest democracy and a pluralistic country. Of course, when the army chief was there, he was also briefed about the situation as far as the line of control is concerned. But what is very important, this whole his address, is that this is a very visible sign as to all those state and non-state actors who are trying to destabilize Pakistan one way or the other. It was a clear message that the Pakistan army is ready and it will thwart any such attempt by any such actor who tries to destabilize or malign Pakistan one way or the other. We've been joined by AVM retired Ijaz Malik Saab. He's a senior analyst. He's right here in the studios with us. Thank you very much, AVM Saab. How do you see the statement of our Chief of the Army Staff in the current geopolitical context when he talks about any aggression or violation of the sovereignty of Pakistan that will be responded with full national resolve and military might? How important is this statement?
It's very important, obviously, and I would say the location and the timing are rather more important than the statement itself, because statement is obviously the manifestation of our national resolve to show our, while we show our desire for peace and stability in the region, but armed forces of Pakistan are fully committed for the safeguarding sovereignty of the state of Pakistan. So I think it's a very important statement by the army chief.
AVM Sahab, how do you feel should be the way to go forward to curtail these Indian activities by our country, Pakistan, and the world as well? We are seeing how the Indian transnational terrorism is now extending beyond the 7 seas. We've seen examples of that in Canada, we've seen that in the US, we've seen in the United Kingdom, and we've seen that in Pakistan as well. What should be the resolve as far as the world and Pakistan is concerned now under the current circumstances?
Well, I think it's a very opportune moment for Pakistan, because we have substantial evidence of Indian involvement in various terrorist activities. We must prepare a dossier for that and utilize that on all forum as far as the diplomatic front is concerned, and also internationally, because Indian involvement in case of certain terrorist activities beyond their own soil and borders, as you have mentioned just now, I think it would augur well with the overall environment to highlight this point, because if you recall the incidents in Canada, the entire international community, they raised their voice against Indian aggression.
That is true, and of course so did the US. But the army chief has said, AVM Saab, that the Pakistan army is well versed in the full threat spectrum and is perpetually ready to respond effectively. Is this statement an open message to all those who have been and who are still trying to destabilize Pakistan one way or the other, whether it be through the Afghan border or whether through the other borders?
We have to see the perpetual war, fifth generation war, which has been imposed on us for past a decade or so. And particularly now that we have election fever in India, there are chances, if history is an indication, that India may venture into some kind of false flag operation as well. So I think showing the resolve and reiterating the readiness state and the operational readiness of our armed forces, I would say both on ground as well as on air and overseas, to safeguard our territorial frontiers. I think it's a very important message, and it should be taken seriously by the state as well as non-state actors who have any iota of doubt that if Pakistan is busy in its own domestic stability issue, or there is some kind of transition that we are going through as far as our democratic setup is concerned, and there is some focus on providing security to let's say our election and other sensitive areas post election even, I think this message carries a lot of importance.
Now, speaking again of this message, what are the primary apprehensions that Pakistan has with regards to the line of control?
Well, line of control, sensitivity, has remained as such, despite the fact that India has fenced. There is a lot of surveillance, electronic surveillance being done by Indian forces and border security forces, manning that entire length of LOC. But still, they would, whenever there is some incidents in illegally occupied Kashmir, they would say that there is some kind of support by Pakistan, or there has been some kind of infiltration. And the perpetually what security apparatus they have raised there in past about 15 years, that itself speaks of their failure to contain that indigenous movement in Kashmir. So Pakistan obviously become the scapegoat for them to deflect or divert the media attention and that of their own public from their incapacity to handle the issue within Kashmir, Indian-held Kashmir.
And then they use the soft media to propagate a totally false narrative as far as the events. I mean, there was...
Yes, that is the part of their, well thought of campaign that they have, campaign of narratives against Pakistan.
I totally agree with you on that. We signed a Shimla agreement with India a couple of decades back. Has this agreement still... I know that this agreement still holds true for both the countries, but do you feel that India still considers the Shimla agreement in its true spirit and form, and in what ways do you feel this agreement has also shaped Pakistan's strategy as far as the Kashmir dispute is concerned?
If we go just quickly over the history of the Kashmir issue, first of all, then Indian Prime Minister Mr. Nehru, they went into United Nations Security Council and they said that they need an arbitration by the international fora. So at that time this was an international issue, and we have multiple UN resolution still valid but action pending. And then in 1972 they shaped it to a bilateral issue. Pakistan respected the first arrangement and still remained a victim of their acquisition. Pakistan respected the second arrangement in Simla Accord of 1972, and India did not honor. And now they have reached the third stage, and they say that this is an internal and domestic issue of Indian Union. So where do we have to trust them? They have to be steadfast in at least one of the options. You cannot have one issue international, then bilateral, and then domestic. So this is just a mockery, I would say.
I agree with that, and on top of that we have the ceasefire violations that have been happening, that have increased in fact since the year 2016, and we are also seeing a huge number of troops in the Indian held valley. There's a militarization of the Indian held valley as far as that is concerned. What apprehensions do you feel Pakistan has concerning this escalation of the ceasefire violations? I'm sure Pakistan has conveyed its point of view to the Indian side as well. And this development of deployment of Indian forces in the Indian held valley, do you feel that this is a cause of concern as well for the Pakistani side under the current circumstances?
Yes, it is, because after nuclearization of both these states in the subcontinent, Pakistan policy had been that we do not support any misadventure in this area, and we say that there is no, we contemplate that there is no space for war. But it's India who have been through their various strategies, they have been propagating that still under the threshold of or nuclear threshold, still there exists some space for a limited low intensity conflict. So we have to put our safeguards in place, and we have done that. And if you just see past few incidences in the so-called surgical strike, our response to that, and then certain other attempts to not giving any respect in regard to the LOC and ceasefire, unilateral violation of this LOC and ceasefire. I think we have no choice, but unfortunately we have to remain on a very high state of alert.
And that is what our Chief of the Army Staff has said through his statement when he visited Azad Jammu and Kashmir, and of course visited the troops as well. I think the message is loud and clear.
Yes.
To be very frank, the message is out there. The message is for all those who try to destabilize Pakistan or are trying to or might try to, that Pakistan will not take this sitting down, and there will be a very strong reaction from the Pakistan side.
Exactly. And regardless of the regional developments or sometimes our own domestic concerns, but this is the responsibility of the armed forces, and alhamdulillah we have wherewithal to safeguard the sovereignty of our motherland.
Inshallah, and we will definitely for all those enemies or disruptors of Pakistan, this is an open message. Thank you very much, AVM.
Thank you.
Ijaz Malik, senior analyst, who have joined us, who have talked to us about this. Let's come to our last two stories very, very quickly. First concerns King Charles, who has been diagnosed with a form of cancer. We don't know which kind of cancer it is, but of course, as soon as we do get, we will be informing you, and will postpone public engagements to undergo treatment. This has been said in an official statement by the Buckingham Palace. He has said that he will remain wholly positive about this scare less than 18 months into his reign as the king of the United Kingdom. And of course, we all know that he became king on September of the year 2022. He is 75 years of age, and of course, he became king after the death of his mother, the eminent Queen Elizabeth. He has begun a series of treatments. He is looking forward, as per the statement, to return to full-time duties as soon as possible. The revelation about the cancer came after he spent 3 nights in the hospital last month, where he underwent a corrective procedure for a benign enlarged prostate. The palace has also said that a separate issue of concern has been spotted during that hospital stay, but they did not further elaborate on which that cause of concern was that. But of course, King Charles is positive, King Charles is optimistic, and we look forward to a healthy King Charles in the coming weeks, resuming his full duties. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, let's end it with the night of music that happened recently in the United States, and that was Grammys. This is an annual event that happens in which artists from across the world are honored for their contribution to music. This time, this was a night for the female musicians, because whether it be Taylor Swift, who set a new record, winning the Grammy Award for Album of the Year for an unprecedented 4th time, whether it be Billie Eilish, who claimed Song of the Year for What Was I Made For, whether it be Miley Cyrus, winner of her first 2 Grammys, also landed the Record of the Year honor for her empowered anthem Flowers, or the best new artist that went to rhythm and blues and pop singer Victoria Monet, who thanked her mom, a single mom, raising this really bad girl. Also, SZA, who went into the night as the most nominated artist, won 3 trophies, including Best R&B Song for Snooze. And there were many other performances, very important performances. Joni Mitchell, who came, another lady, Annie Lennox from Eurythmics, who sang Nothing Compared to You to pay tribute to Sinead O'Connor. We all know she became Muslim in the last days of her life, and other very important singers like Billy Joel, who performed his single after 17 years. One thing that I'll leave before we go tonight is the fact that Annie Lennox, when she performed Nothing Compares to You, she said artists for peace. I think the soft power is extremely important in these days of conflict, whether it be Palestine or whether it be in illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir. I think as many people, the more they raise their voice, the more their voices will be heard, especially when it comes to eminent personalities like stars or musicians. With that, we come to an end of today's newsroom. We'll see you inshallah tomorrow with news stories segments that pertain to us, you and Pakistan. Stay safe. Allah Hafiz.